TimeBank believes in a banking future with more for every entrepreneur. Start paying less and getting more. With TimeBank, you've got this.
You are watching Small Business Evolution. I am Nontobeko Gumede. Now, reports conducted in 2021 found that just about 43% of cyber attacks targeted at SMEs, which equated to 4 in 10 businesses. That's quite a lot. And recent reports state that spyware attacks increased by 18.8% in the last quarter of 2022 and the first quarter of 2023. Businesses are obviously vulnerable since these attacks usually result in significant financial losses, and the businesses that I'm referring to are the ones that are on e-commerce. Joining me right now in studio is Engelbrecht, System Engineering Manager at Veeam Software. He's going to help us understand this spike in cyber attacks and what does it really look like, how is it triggered, and what businesses can do to protect themselves. You recently released a report stating that 85% of organizations experienced cyber attacks in 2022. 83 is a lot, but it's also understandable, it's expected. So what is triggering the sudden spike in cyber attacks, Ian?
Well, specifically to the SME market, what we're seeing is they're not able to respond or have the security in place for these cyber attacks. So generally, cyber criminals were targeting larger organizations because the data was more valuable to them. But the SMEs and startup businesses don't have a cybersecurity strategy, so it's a very easy approach or easy target for them, right? So there's less hurdles to jump over in order to get into their organization or into their infrastructure.
What are the reasons behind SMEs not having a secure, solid, structured cybersecurity strategy?
So if you look at an enterprise and we compare it to an enterprise will have different security personnel and in the organization. So it'll have a SOC, which is a security operations center. They'll have red teams and blue teams. They'll have pen testers. They'll have a CISO who will manage, and their specific day-to-day duty is security and to respond to security attacks and prevent. And when you look at a startup company, remember they don't have the budgets of a large enterprise. So they're starting off and their main focus is revenue. They're just trying to make more money. So they don't have that capital to employ these different individuals and set up these types of teams. And that's why it's much easier to target a smaller SME business than it is an enterprise, because they don't have that strategy in place. And
that absolutely makes sense. I also just want to find out, does location play a role in SMEs being vulnerable to these attacks? And I'm asking this because, you know, experts recently are stating that a lot of these startups work from home and they don't actually have an office space. And them working from home also contributes to them being victims of these cyber attacks. Is it true or not?
Yep, definitely. I mean, we saw the rise in cyber attacks during COVID. And that's just because the change in workforce. So rather than an individual sitting inside of an office or in a building where you could control the security, they're now working from home. And then there's certain things that you don't have control over. So I can't control the employee's Wi-Fi password, right? That could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that just creates more attack vectors or more vulnerabilities and more ways for a cyber criminal to exploit a user and then gain access into the organization.
And just looking at, you know, Veeam Software, Ian, can you just take us through the company itself? What services do you offer SMEs so that they are better protected in instances like these?
Yeah, so Veeam is a data protection software, and we call it modern data protection. And I'll get into that. But what we essentially do is backups and data protection and DR, meaning we take copies of data, critical data, and we make it available across different platforms. Now, we're not a security-focused tool, so a company would still have to put a security policy in place and have a strategy, have firewalls, have intrusion prevention and tools like that. But what we do is create what we call a last line of defense. So in the event there is an attack and your data is encrypted or held ransom, we have the ability to put that data back into the environment. We also have the ability to make services available again. So if you are compromised and your organization is down and you can't access services, we can bring them up in another location and another platform so the business can run.
That is very, very impressive. And I know that a lot of entrepreneurs are always worried about the cost implications when it comes to, protecting this information. So what are the costs associated with the protection against cyber attacks?
Well, there's a lot of costs, and it's a difficult discussion, right? So if you think of a small business, if I was starting a small business, I was going to focus on how I'm going to make money and more revenue. So something like going out and buying a security tool is sort of a cost to the business. It's not something that's going to add revenue. But then if you change the conversation and we ask the person or the company, how important is your data to your business? So if you mentioned e-commerce sites. If you're running an e-commerce site and that data was encrypted and the site was down for a week, what would that cost the business? And then you can translate that back into the value of actually purchasing a tool or implementing some kind of security strategy that has a cost to it.
I like that question. How important is data to your business? It definitely shakes things up a bit, but thank you so much, Ian, for just sharing your insights.
Thank you very much.
That was Ian Engelbrecht, System Engineering Manager at Veeam Software, giving us insights on the importance of cybersecurity for SMEs in South Africa. Until next time, goodbye.
TimeBank believes in a banking future with more for every entrepreneur. Start paying less and getting more. With TimeBank, you've got this.